Today I am so excited to show you how to make fake ice cream that looks so realistic. It's really hard to tell if it's real or fake. You'll need just a few basic supplies, so let's get making. I made lots of different types of fake ice cream for a 50s sock hop party for my church, and I'm going to be showing you a few different varieties and a few different ways you can get creative with making fake ice cream. Here are all the different supplies you'll need to make fake ice cream. You'll need some lightweight spackling. You want to make sure that it's lightweight and that it's not the kind that is pink that turns white when it's dry. That will be too heavy. You also need some kind of a bowl to mix everything in. You can use something cheap like from the dollar store, but once you use it, you can't reuse it for food. You'll also need some flour, some craft paint. I used white, yellow, pink, brown, and black. And then you'll need some Mod Podge and make sure that it's glossy. Next, you'll need something to put your ice cream in. I used a bunch of different size glass containers that I found from the thrift store, and you can also find them in sets at like Walmart or places like that. I also used fake cherries to make the ice cream sundaes look more realistic, and a trigger ice cream scoop. You'll need one that has the trigger on it for sure to get the scoop out. First, you're going to use a wood spoon or spatula to scoop out a bunch of the spackle into your container. Once you use your wood spoon or spatula for this craft, then you definitely don't want to use it for food again. Keep it strictly for crafts. Next, you're going to take some flour, just some regular flour from the kitchen, and add it. And this is going to make the spackle a bit thicker and give it more of a ice cream, that nice texture of a scoop of ice cream. So you're just going to want to mix the spackle and the flour together until it comes together and is the right texture. If it's too wet, then add more flour. If it's too dry, then add more spackle. Next, you're going to add your color, and this is where the paint comes in. Right here, I'm making strawberry fake ice cream, and so I used a bright pink color because once you mix in the color, it's a lot less bold. It's mixed with the white, so it's a little bit more mellow than it looks in your paint jar. You want to make sure you mix in the color really well, because if not, you'll have parts of your fake ice cream that look whitish or that have darker areas, and then it won't look as realistic. I ended up making 18 different fake ice cream milkshakes and sundaes for a 50s sock hop party that I was helping with for my church. And so I used different techniques for each of the different containers. So I'll be sharing all those different techniques and styles with you. Now this one is the first ice cream sundae I made, so I kept it pretty basic. I used a large popsicle stick and the ice cream scoop to push the ice cream down into the container, and then use the ice cream scoop to make scoops for the top. The popsicle stick came in handy because I could push the fake ice cream down into my glass container because the spatula was a little big to do that. And then I could also use the popsicle stick to shape the bottom of the ice cream scoop. After I was done with my first one, I let it harden and dry for a little while I worked on my other ice cream sundaes. Now I wanted to try making a fake milkshake. I used a really tall glass for this. All of the glasses I used were clear so you could see through them and they looked more realistic. So first I would scoop some of the fake ice cream down into the bottom, and I used the popsicle stick to really reach down in there and kind of smear that fake ice cream all along the sides of the glass. This will make it look like our glass is completely full with the milkshake, even though I'm going to show you a trick to where you don't have to fill it all the way with your mixture, so you can save more for making other milkshakes and other ice cream sundaes. So once you get the last of your fake ice cream scooped all around the sides and kind of smashed along the edges, then it's time to turn the cup in your hands and make sure there aren't any spots that you missed. If you see any little holes or spots you missed, you can just take the popsicle stick and smear more of the fake ice cream onto it. So this is a fun trick I came up with so that I wouldn't have to fill up each of my containers with my fake ice cream mixture. I used some foam balls that I had on hand and kind of just dropped those inside the milkshake container, and that way it filled up a lot of the empty space without me having to use my fake ice cream. So I would drop the balls in and then kind of scoop in some more of the fake ice cream. And I just scooped more and more in until it was full, and then I flattened out the top with the popsicle stick so that it was nice and smooth. If the side of your glass gets a little dirty, you can use your fingers or a wet paper towel or a dry paper towel to wipe the sides off and get it nice and clean. So here's our milkshake all filled up with fake ice cream, and we're going to add some more things to it in a little bit. But first I want to show you how I made my next type of ice cream sundae. Now this fake ice cream, I started by using the popsicle stick again and smearing the fake ice cream along the sides of the glass container. Then I twirled the glass around and checked the sides to make sure that there weren't any spots that I missed. I was looking for any little holes or gaps or air spots. Now here's a trick I came up with to make a really good looking ice cream scoop without using a lot of your product that you made, because the spackling can get expensive. So I wanted to use the least amount possible, especially since I was making so many of these. So what I did is take the big popsicle stick and kind of smear it on so that it looks natural like ice cream. Smeared it onto a foam ball. And I don't remember off the top of my head how big the foam ball was. It was a few inches, but you can experiment with different sizes. This is just one I had on hand. So I used the stick, rubbed it on, and I didn't fill the whole ball. I filled about 3/4 of it with the spackling. Then when it looked the way that I wanted it to, I took it and I gently dropped it into the cup. And I love the way it looks. It looks totally like a real ice cream scoop. It has a nice scoop shape to it. So to make it look seamless, I used the popsicle stick, got more of my spackling mixture, and just filled in the gaps and cracks on the side so that it looked like just one big giant ice cream scoop. So you want to just use the stick and kind of blend in the extra spackling that you're adding so it looks realistic and natural. And here's how it looks once you've got the ice cream scoop all blended in. I think it looks great. I wanted mine a little bit taller, so here's what I did. I used my trigger ice cream scoop to get a big scoop of ice cream, and then used the popsicle stick to kind of make sure that that fake ice cream was all smushed down into the ice cream scoop, and then I scooped it on top of my sundae. Now the ice cream scoop line was bugging me a little bit, so I used the popsicle stick to kind of blend it in with the rest of the ice cream. Here's what this ice cream sundae looked like with the fake ice cream inside. We still have a lot to go: the fake whipped cream, the fake chocolate syrup, the nuts, the sprinkles, and the cherry on top. So once I had completely finished all of my fake ice cream in the containers, I let them sit out overnight and into the next day. I wanted to make sure that they were really hard to the touch and that they were nice and firm and ready for the next step. So here's what my finished ice cream sundaes and the fake ice cream look like. This isn't even all of them. I went a little crazy. Like I said, I was decorating for a 50s sock hop for my church, so I made a ton. Now it's time to make our ice cream look even more realistic with some fake chocolate syrup or chocolate fudge sauce. So I used glossy Mod Podge, brown paint, and black paint. First, I added the glossy Mod Podge inside a disposable cup. Then I added some brown paint. This is just another bottle since I ran out of my first one. And then I wanted my chocolate sauce to look a little bit darker, so I added some black paint too to make it look really rich and chocolatey. Then I stirred it all up until it was blended really, really well. And I used the glossy Mod Podge because I wanted it to look like a shiny chocolate syrup. I think chocolate syrup is more shiny than matte. If you used matte Mod Podge, I don't think it would look quite as realistic. To add the chocolate sauce to the ice cream sundaes, I used a plastic spoon and then just put a little bit on the spoon and kind of dropped it over the top and let it do its thing. I just added a little bit at a time, and you can kind of guide it so that it makes drips where you'd like it. You can do a lot of drips, you can do just a few drips. It's totally up to you and your preference and what you want your fake ice cream sundaes to look like. If you spill any paint, no worries, just wipe it up with a baby wipe or paper towel. I kept adding bit by bit of chocolate sauce. It takes a few seconds for it to kind of drip down and do its thing. So I didn't want to add too much in the beginning because then it would drip all the way down onto my glass and make a mess. I wanted it to look natural. So I just did a little bit at a time. It looks like I'm doing a lot, but since this is fast forwarded, it's actually just a little bit, and I kind of waited and was patient with it. I wanted to make sure I had drips on all the sides, so from every angle, since this was going in the middle of a table, you could see all the nice little drips. Once the fake chocolate sauce looked the way I wanted it, I let it dry for a minute or two. I didn't let it dry completely because I needed it wet for the next step. This next step is so much fun. You can either use fake nuts or you can use fake sprinkles. So I used both. First, I'll show you the fake nuts. This is a natural corncob bedding and litter for small animals. It looks just like chopped peanuts, but it's actually not. The great thing about using this is that it won't attract unwanted pests like real nuts would. So I just took a little bit of the dried corncob bedding and sprinkled it over the top of my chocolate syrup. And the great thing about it is the syrup is still wet, and so because of the Mod Podge, the nuts stick right on there. You don't have to use any glue or adhesive or anything. As long as your paint is still a little bit wet, the peanuts will stick. Now I wanted my fake ice cream to look as realistic as possible, so I didn't want the nuts just kind of dropped on the top. I wanted them to stick to a lot of the syrup. To do this, I would just turn the glass and make sure I sprinkled the fake nuts on any of the chocolate syrup. So here's what it looked like after I let it all dry. Doesn't it look like a real ice cream sundae? So for this fake ice cream sundae, I decided to use fake sprinkles. So the process is pretty similar to how I used the fake nuts. First, you'll add your fake chocolate syrup over the top with a spoon, just like we did with the last ice cream sundae. Now it's time to add the fake sprinkles. I bought these on Amazon and I think they look pretty realistic and they're really colorful and fun. So just like with the fake nuts, all I did was sprinkle them on top of the wet fake chocolate syrup, and so that helped them to stick really well, and then I just let it dry. So now it's time to add the fake chocolate syrup to our strawberry milkshake, and this time instead of adding the chocolate over the top, we're adding it to the sides of the glass. I wanted it to look kind of like a freak shake where there's dripping chocolate down the side of the glass, so it looks a little more interesting and it's a little more fun. So just add some of the fake chocolate syrup to a spoon and then drip it down the sides. I didn't want to start with too much. I wanted it to be not dripping down the whole thing, just a little bit on the top. So I added just a little bit and let it drip on its own to see how far it would go. And this is what it ended up looking like. I love how the drips are all different lengths. You can kind of adjust that by adding more or just adding a little bit for the smaller drips. Once all of the fake chocolate drips looked the way that I wanted them to, and I let them dry for just a minute or two so they weren't completely runny, but were a little bit set up but still wet, that's when I took our fake nuts again and sprinkled them over the chocolate. And I love how it gives it more texture and it just makes it look a lot more realistic to me. Like I said, like those really cool freak shakes that you can buy. Now it's time to make the fake whipped cream, and this part's really fun. It's where your ice cream sundaes really start coming together. So first I did the same thing like I did before to create the ice cream. I took some of our spackling and then I added a little bit of flour to it and mixed it really well. Now you want to keep mixing and adding until it looks like it's the right consistency. I wanted my consistency to be pretty thick so that it would hold its shape when I piped it, but thin enough that it would go through the piping tip as well. For the fake whipping cream, you'll need an open star tip, a very large one. I used a 1M, and then you'll also need disposable piping bags. So first you will open up your bag and stick your piping tip inside, and then you'll use scissors to cut a slit in the bottom, and then you'll want to push that piping tip all the way through as far as you can. You want to make sure that the plastic piping bag is past the opening of the star tip, and so mine I didn't cut quite big enough, and so I recut a little bit bigger and then push the tip all the way through. To make it easy to add your fake whipped cream to your piping bag, just stick the piping bag inside a tall cup and then wrap the top of your bag over the top of your cup. And this is going to make it easier to add your fake whipping cream inside your piping bag. And now it's time to pipe the fake whipped cream on top of our ice cream sundaes. So first you'll want to hold your piping bag and the tip straight up and down. And then it's basically just like frosting a cupcake. You want to just kind of do an outside circle and then bring it in, keep making a circle and bring it in smaller and smaller so that you have a little pile of fake whipped cream. And then when it's still wet, I added a fake cherry to the top, and as the fake whipped cream dried, it held that cherry in place perfectly. So here's the same process again on a different ice cream sundae. Again, start by making a circle and holding that tip and piping bag straight up and down. Bring the circle in a little bit as you start piling up that fake whipped cream, and then add your fake cherry to the top. And then definitely let it sit out and dry for hours so that it can get nice and hard. So here's what the finished ice cream sundaes look like after they've sat out for a few days to completely harden. You can see that I made lots of different kinds of fake ice cream. I made fake ice cream sundaes, the milkshakes, and then just ice cream sundaes in bowls and all different types of variations. So I just love the way they turned out. They're super durable, and I think they look so realistic. At the sock hop for our church that I made these for, everyone was talking about them and asking how in the world I did it, because they thought they were real at first but realized they couldn't be, or else they'd be melted. So they all wanted to know how it was done, and so that's part of the reason I made this video. Here you can see how durable these really are. If I hold it upside down, nothing falls off or moves. It's just totally stuck on there. So here's all 18 of the fake ice cream I made in front of some little dice I made for our table centerpieces for the sock cup. So here you can see our finished table centerpieces at our 50s sock hop party. I had a record at each table setting, and then there were also our fake ice cream, some fake dice that I made from small boxes, balloons, little pink Cadillac boxes that I put together, and then small gumball machines. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more creative ideas.